for everybody else, I just would say, keep going. If you have that dream, just go for it and see what happens. And you never know. You never know. You might be the next $1 million idea.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good afternoon, Cara Brzezicki. Previously, episode 803 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been just 3 years, 2 months, 1 day, and 18 hours since we last recorded that conversation. That was then, this is now. Cara, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, Angel. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for asking. When we last spoke, Sippie Clippie was the thing that you were, it's one of the inventions you were putting forward. And I believe that was one of the focus of the conversation. And you being a mother, deciding, you know what, I'm going to stay home with the boys. How have things evolved today?
Well, they're still evolving, as always. The Sippie Clippie, I'm actually negotiating a licensing contract right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's super exciting because I've spent a good chunk of change on that little project. And I'm still, yes, I still stay home with my boys. They're getting older. So my youngest is in half-day kindergarten, and he'll be full-day next year. So I will have a lot more time to work on everything.
We're homeschooling our second. He's 5. And when we spoke, your first son was 5. So I can understand the feeling. It's a torn between a rock and a hard place, isn't it? Have you considered homeschooling?
I thought about it. I don't think that I'm cut out for it. I love my boys and I love being a stay-at-home mom, but I love inventing and I love writing books and I like helping people. And I think to keep my sanity, I need to kind of do some things for myself. I know it sounds a little selfish, but...
No, I think it's important. I think you will be able to show up in the best form of you when they get home.
Exactly. And I love when they come home. It's wonderful and the weekends are wonderful, but it's my oldest. He needs to be in school full time anyway. He just needs that interaction. He's
a social bug.
Yeah, that, and he's just, I don't even know how to explain him. He's a little different, which is awesome, but he needs more structure than I think I can give him. And he doesn't, you know how it is with parents, like you can tell them so much and they're like, whatever, but somebody else tells them and they're like, oh yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. I believe my first son is somewhat like that. Homeschooling him is not even an option. It's not, we thought about it, but he requires that type of structure in his life where it's just beneficial for him. He loves the social interaction. And again, the structure, just like you talked about, it's what's necessary for him to learn at this point. At least with my limited knowledge of what homeschooling is, I am not, or my wife, able to do that for him. So I understand from that perspective.
Yeah, well, that's great. I love that you can understand what it's like with the structure. That's super important, especially I think for boys.
Yeah, specifically for my son. So, what's going on though? There was Jazzie beans. Is there something in the back end that's being invented while we speak? Something that's cooking in the lab?
There's always something cooking up there in my little brain of mine. But my second invention actually is, I just launched it a couple months ago. It's called the Flusher Blocker. And that prevents the automatic toilet from flushing on you or your kiddos. So it's, it sticks on the sensor of the automatic toilet, and then you remove it when you're done, and you can wash it. And I stick mine to the back of my phone, but you can stick it to the back of a backing that it comes in.
Wow. Road trip, even for the adults, right? Like if you have to do the road trip and you need to change at a rest stop, right? That helps, right?
It does. And it was great for both of my kids. My youngest is still pretty scared, and actually my oldest doesn't like the toilet either. But my youngest wouldn't go. He would choose to go in his pants instead of going to a toilet with an automatic flushing system because he was so terrified of the noise. So, I was kind of shocked that there was nothing on the market for this. So I said, well, I have to create it then and then I had other parents see it and they're like, oh, I want one. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll make it for everybody else too.
That's amazing. Wow. When here I thought, well, yeah, the Sippie Clippie, she had me all up in, hey, when you start the Kickstarter, I'm there, right? But I mean, here you go again. So are you going the route of Kickstarter with this? Or is it you found a new format to promote it?
I actually decided to manufacture it myself. So I have a company that I go through, and then I'm selling it on my website. So I basically go through social media to get the word out, and everything is done through e-commerce. So it's much easier. It didn't require as much money because there's no tooling involved as the Sippy Clippy required. So
Okay,
it's a
all
little
right.
easier to get out to the public.
Yeah. Well, when you're sharing, please like tag me and all these types of things. Like, please. I mean, I'm not Michael Jackson, but yeah, like, please, like, I'd love to share it as well.
Oh, you're so kind. You're
Yeah.
better than Michael. You're kind and have a good heart.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I wish I could be kind and do his dance moves though, but yeah.
Don't we all?
Well, that's amazing. No, there's an environmental side of you, right? There's an awareness. You're inventing for efficiency, for effectiveness, and just all out fun. How have you seen this voice that speaks within you bear fruit? Like, where does it start? Because we hear so many voices, but yet it seems as though there's a voice that you hear in a certain time, and then you go do the thing that you heard. How do you discern that?
I think it's more of I'm gonna have to give all my credit to the man upstairs. That's who I really listen to. I think that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for him. That's the voice I listen to. So if I keep hearing that, like with the Sippy Clippy, I just kept hearing, you're supposed to make this. This is supposed to be out in the world. So I followed through, and same with the flusher blocker, and the same with my book. I couldn't get it out of my head. It just never stopped. I'd go to bed and it was like, you need to put this out. You need to get this out. So I just acted on it, and yeah, I guess that I am where I am right now.
It's
But it's not
amazing.
because of me. Not because of me.
Yeah, you moved from, of course, everyone saying you're crazy to be leaving your day job, right? To be with the kids. Then you're an inventor all of a sudden, and then the book, right? So Jazzie Bean saves the planet. But it's really amazing. Now, in the midst of all your planning, do you, and I'm opening up this conversation on the podcast, how do you interact with the possibility that you could die today or tomorrow in the midst of the inventions that you're doing, in the midst of having children, in the midst of everything? How do you interact with that possibility?
I just feel like every day is a gift, and tomorrow is never promised anyway. So I just feel like we're supposed to. I'm a Christian, so I try to live my life by the Christian way, by honoring God and others and loving everybody as myself, because that's what we're supposed to do, and constantly help each other. So I feel like if my time was to end, that hopefully I would be going to the right place, and that my children and my husband would, at least my children would know what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it. And I don't want to leave this earth, but if I do, I think I'm going to the right place, if that helps answer the question.
Yeah, in the midst of it, your husband is there, right? So you're inventing, you're doing a ton of things. How has he been affected by everything that's going on, the evolved version of Cara?
He works really, really, really hard, and I'm so very thankful for him, because he doesn't quite understand what I do, but he still works really hard. And if it wasn't for him, I couldn't be able to do all the things that I'm doing. He's very supportive. He won't let me spend all the money in the world. That's why I had to, with the with the Sippy Clippy, I had to kind of go, okay, we need to license this, because all the money I've put into it, we got to see something come back. And he's an engineer, so he needs, he's very number oriented. So, but he's very, very kind. He works, like I said, if it wasn't really for him, I don't think that I could be doing any of this. He supports me and the boys. So, and that is an extremely honorable and hard job.
Definitely. Well, I can tell you it's such of a grand opportunity to call in and be your podcast accountability partner without you even knowing that you signed up to be that, right? But to know that you've not given up, Cara, to know that you've set something going and you are not giving up. And that is both motivational and inspirational for those listening. More so, thank you for your service to humanity, because here it is, you're not just using inventions and saying, all right, this flusher blocker is mine, no one else gets it, right? You're actually sharing this. So thank you for that. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, I think that with you, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I love that you go and talk to different people, and I feel extremely honored to even be a part of your podcast. So thank you for that. And for everybody else, I just would say keep going. If you have that dream, just go for it and see what happens. And you never know. You never know. You might be the next $1 million idea.
Cara Brzezicki, folks. Again, you have Flusher Blocker, and the names, I tell you, it feels as though she can open a business just naming inventions, right? So you have the Sippie Clippie, right? And then the Flusher Blocker. Again, you can check her out at jazziebeans.com or flusherblocker.com. Cara Brzezicki, the pleasure I treasure. And thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.